Hey, what's up guys? How you doing? It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. What I'm doing here basically is I'm using a low light. I turned off all my lights inside this room. The only thing that's running is my fan, and I moved the low light all the way to the 0 so that way I can detect if there's any bleeding light coming out of this TV. And this is a Samsung KS-8000, and that's what I'm going to try to do here. And honestly, there's barely any bleeding light. I mean, you can see still a little bit, but it's not to the point. It's not to the point where it's bleeding badly. And this is due to that new update that I used, which is the 1169 update, and also due to my picture custom settings that I have used. I moved the gamma to all the way to -3. So the gamma, it's all the way to -3, and brightness, it's 240. So it's at 40, and it seems to work really well, man. I have tried it from every angle. Here, let's do a retry here. This is a Tekken 7, and you'll see it. There's no bleeding light here. None whatsoever. Which is pretty darn good for this TV. And here I am in the center right here, moving around, and here I even look down at the bottom to see if I can maybe detect any bleeding, bending light. I mean, you still have some light because it's a backlit, it's an edge-lit TV, it's a LED. The LEDs are working in the back here, but it's not to the point where it's bleeding. I'm not making this video trying to tell you that all of a sudden LED has turned into a OLED. It's impossible for the LED TV to be like the OLED because it has that LCD panel with the LED backlit. Okay, but the whole point I'm trying to make here, this new update definitely did fix some of the bleeding light issues that were present. And I don't know how much this camera can show this to you, but the whole point I'm trying to make is that this is pretty good news for the Samsung KS-8000 owners. The fact that now you can watch this TV even from this side, and you're not gonna have that bending ridiculous light to that point. I don't know who would want to watch it from this side, but I don't know. I guess somebody can. Obviously, no one's gonna be playing video games from this side. No one's gonna be watching it from this side, right? Most people are gonna be up here. Actually, up here, 1, 2, 3, and here I'm even in the dark, even in a dark room. The reason I chose to go with a dark room is just to show you that here I am, even in the dark room, and you barely notice that bleeding light. I mean, it's still there, but you really have to go all the way to the corner. Like, you really have to be like up here, like really, like up there. Like, you gotta be like, you're not gonna be watching TV from the up there, are you? You're not gonna be watching a TV from here. So this is good. This is good. Here I am all the way to the left. All the way to the left. Moving all the way to the left, and it's still good. Still good. Then I'm gonna go ahead, move it up here. Like this in the center. There. Not bad. Not bad at all. So there you have it, guys. I don't know how many of you have seen my previous video, but if you have missed it, here, let me show it to you. This is basically what I'm using. I'm under the standard mode, and I'm using a backlit on 20, which is maximum, brightness on 40, and this is very important. It's very important that you have that brightness at the 40. Make sure that your brightness at the 40, contrast at the 100, sharpness at 20, color at 55, digital clean view, you can keep that on automatic, so that way when you switch back to your cable, you don't have to constantly turn it on and off. This Auto Motion Plus, honestly, I always turn this sucker off. First of all, it's going to give you a horrible latency and the input lag. So no movies out there are being shot in 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second. Maybe exception of that one movie that Ang Lee shot, that Billy Lynn's Walk or something. But other than that, everything else, it's at 24p. Smart LEDs, I keep them high because you want that peak brightness. And black levels, I keep them on automatic because you already have gamma -3 and you already have brightness at 40, so you don't want to touch the black levels. Just leave it on automatic. Dynamic contrast, I turn that off because I don't want the dynamic contrast to be too high, because if dynamic contrast is too high, you wouldn't be even able to read. If you see this light, that's the low light. That's the low light. The camera is detecting if there's any light. It's not the TV, it's my camera that's doing it. So it's not the TV, okay? That's why I have my low light turned all the way down, so that way I can depict if there's any light coming out of it. If there was any light coming out of it, you would definitely see it. I mean, there is. It's a LED backlit edge-lit TV, so you're still gonna have that LED light behind the panel, but it's not the way it was before. I mean, it's a much better improvement. What Samsung is doing here, it's much better improvements. So anyway, let's go back to my settings here. I'm just showing you these settings in case you guys didn't see my previous video. So let's go through this one more time. Okay, backlit 20, brightness 40, contrast 100, sharpness 20, color 55, digital clean view automatic, smart LEDs high, black levels automatic, dynamic contrast, you want to turn that off, color tone, it's warm 1, and if you ask me why do I keep the color temperature at warm 1, because warm 1, it's a perfect balance between yellow sepia and blue cold. So warm 1 gives me that nice balance between the blue and yellow. And honestly, that's the whole trick behind this whole thing. It's the balance. You want to keep everything at the balance level. Okay, so, and here's the trick. This is the trick, Pata. You want to keep that gamma at -3. That's the trick. Even though I have shown this on my previous video, you guys can write it down, but I'm showing it to you again so that way you know how to do it. And also make sure that you go to a support on the settings, go to a support, check your software update, make sure you have this version 1169. Yeah, oh, make sure you get this 1169 version. What I usually do, I keep everything on automatic auto updates, so that way I don't have to worry about it, you know. So I just keep it on automatic, and when you turn on your TV, the next time you turn on your TV, and if there was a new update and it was downloaded and then installed, the TV will let you know that the new update was installed. Or you can go manually and check it out like I do here to find out what versions you got. Just go to a support, go to the software update, and it will tell you what the current version you have right here. All right, so and honestly, there's one more thing I got to say. Look, guys, I understand that there's professional calibrators out there. I get that. I understand that. I know that there's certified calibrators out there. I'm 40 years old. I wasn't born yesterday. The whole point I'm trying to make is this. These calibrators, these softwares, these measuring devices of luminance light, and the softwares, they're running it on the grayscale. Here's the thing. These softwares, they're programmed to calibrate TV to a certain standard. Now, this standard that's put in place, sure, you'll be able to watch your TV, but here's the thing. This standard will not be able to calibrate every and each and single content that you're watching. Every content is different. The calibrating software and these devices they have, they don't know what type of content I'm watching. They go by certain standards on the grayscale. It has to be a certain standard, and you have to calibrate based on that standard. You cannot go above that standard. Otherwise, it will be marked as failed. So, same thing with the white balance. All of this stuff. I know I'm familiar with all of this, but nobody can calibrate your TV better than your eyes. Why that is? Because here I am. My eyes will let my brain know, okay, how much light I'm getting here, how much brightness I'm getting here, how much contrast I'm getting here, how much color am I getting here. Okay? No software, no device can tell me, you know, what's best for my eyes, except me. And this is why I always tell people there are no universal calibrations, because every content is different. Try watching The Godfather and then try watching The Alien. You'll have to calibrate both of these movies individually. Alien is way too dark. The Godfather is way too yellow and sepia. They're all filmed differently. They use different film, use different color. You're watching The Underworld is different. It's too cold. You're watching the Superman is a little bit too yellow and then too gray. So it's really just like video games. Every video game is different. You know, this is why I do this. And here's the thing. I experiment. I use experiments and I share it with you. You don't have to like this, but I think it's foolish for people not to try something that it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to try this out. Look, you can always go back to your original default settings, but how could you say you don't like something unless you try it? Why don't you try it? And if you don't like it, then, you know, go back to your own default settings. But I think it's foolish for people to come after me and bash me for something that I'm sharing, a recipe, giving you a free recipe, and you haven't even tried it, and then you're going to bash me. I just don't understand the logic on that. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm taking your money and charging you to try my calibrations, my custom picture settings, mind me. I'm doing this to share with you guys what I'm doing, what I'm experimenting. And if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. You just go back to your original preference, okay? That's all I'm doing. It's like different cooks, different chefs sharing recipes. You don't have to like my recipe. You can just go back to your old recipe. But that's what I'm doing here. I'm sharing a recipe. So hopefully this kind of clarifies. Look, I know there's people out there that they hate my channel. They shit on it no matter what. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about, you know, newcomers, people who come to my channel and they just find out about my channel. Hey man, give it a try. If you don't like it, go back to your original default preference. That's all. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a good Sunday. Have a good afternoon. Stay safe out there. Be good. Take care.